Hi, my name is Anjali and welcome to Fem Stories. Fem Stories is not just a platform where we are calling female leaders, the CEOs, and the entrepreneurs that have actually made it, that have taken the battles of and pains of entrepreneurship and come out as in flying colors, but also the leaders and the females who actually have seen the beauty and the essence of the journey. And the idea is to share that essence. The idea is to share that journey with all of you. And that's the mission of Fem Stories as well. The first mission is to, create that voice of a female that has the subtle power. The stories has subtle power. And the second mission is creating the impactful stories. Everybody has a story, but then this platform brings in the entrepreneurship story for a woman, a female leader, who has seen all of it and made it. So that's the second mission of the Fem Story, and the third is to pave the way for the women entrepreneurs. Whoever is thinking about creating that idea or creating that $1 million business, this is the platform to watch for you. This is the platform where I bring lots of female leaders to share their journey, share their story with all of you, to just, in a hope that they can serve as an inspiration, as an awareness for all women out there to learn, to seek inspiration, and build that idea, to go after your dreams. Today, we have a very special guest in the studio. She is a dynamite, according to me, and I've been chasing her for almost months. Finally, she comes here in Delhi, in Gurgaon, which is where I live and the studio is. And I would love to talk about where she's foraying, currently and what her background is. She's born into an academician sort of family in IIT Kanpur, as she puts into it. And but she's the first entrepreneur in our family in terms of all the academic people. And she started the entrepreneurship journey in 2007, foraying into education sector. Then in 2009, she started herself into a healthcare sector. And in 2021, she kicked off into Ayurveda. So let's find the entire journey directly from her. Her name is Vandita Tiwari. Welcome, Vandita. Thank you so much for coming and joining Fem Stories. This is the studio we have today, and we are creating your Fem Story today.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is my passion project. I mean, I'm what I'm doing here is with a mission to create that voice, to create that impactful stories of all women entrepreneurs. Not all, but people who have some mission. The ladies who have done some concrete work in this space, having their own voice, having their own story. They've learned from their challenges and success and be able to speak their stories here, and then of course paving the way for the women entrepreneurs. So that's the mission of Fem Stories. And I had loved your background in terms of how you have taken the entire journey, and still, I mean, you already got 40 under 40 International Women Award, which is amazing. And then you also have your own podcast, which is discussing about neurodiversity. So there's a whole gamut of of spaces to discuss here. So let's talk about that. Let's talk and let's delve deeper into your entrepreneurship journey. Like, why education to health to Ayurveda?
Okay, firstly, I think education, like you said, I was born into an academician family. My dadi, my grandmom, was the first professor ever, a female professor ever in the IIT system.
That's cool.
And then my dad joined IIT. So when you are born and brought up in IIT, you are always surrounded by academicians, and you're always aiming to maybe give a JEE, get into an IIT. Typically, everybody does that.
The dream of you as an engineer when you're born.
So everybody around you is aiming to give a JEE or get into that.
Yes.
Anyway, so I think academics plays a huge role, and maybe more than academics, what really shaped us in IIT was IIT Kanpur is very far away from the city. Kanpur in itself is the kind of city which is not a metropolitan city.
Okay.
And you never had too many options for many of the things,
Okay.
Maybe one restaurant, one cafe. And I remember growing up those years, whenever we used to fall sick or something used to happen, we did have a health center, which is like a basic health center, okay? But if you get something very serious, you need to go to the city, which is, let's say, easily 30-40 minutes away. Something serious. Otherwise, you have a health center.
But Kanpur is the city itself, no?
But IIT is on the outskirts of Kanpur.
Okay.
It's like a mini city in itself, no? So most of the time I have no memories of taking medicine.
Okay.
That's my memory that goes back. I was always raised on some patta, some ghar ka
Remedies,
formulation.
herbs. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the
whatever.
best.
Yeah. So you have constipation, take this. You have loose motion, take this leaf.
Yes.
You got a cut, even a wound. If you get a cut,
Yeah.
then my mom would make some onion and turmeric, ka
Turmeric
paste, and
stuff.
she'll apply it. And
Yes.
she'll say, keep it.
Those are
for
the
two-
best remedies and they work like
Yeah.
magic.
They used to work. So I remember maybe it was ingrained in me. So
Yeah.
Ayurveda, which is what I'm doing now, is probably a very obvious outcome of what the life that I've lived, because
Yeah.
I'm trying to do that for my own children now.
Nice.
When I look around, look at my friends, I think the moment the child sneezes, immediately you're on antibiotics or
Yeah.
some allopathy, some medicine, okay?
Hmm.
And that cycle never breaks otherwise.
Yeah.
That just goes on. You took a medicine, your gut went for a toss, you can obviously fall sick again.
Yeah.
I think I always tried some kind of home remedy for these two boys of mine.
Yeah.
And hence, what I'm doing now is just a very well put version of what I used to do at home.
Mhm.
So that's Ayurveda. Let me say, why did I do India School Fund, which is the school that we were running in a village? And that village happened to be my mom's maternal village.
Yeah.
And they had a lot of land and they donated. And that was the time my brother was studying in Harvard Business School, and his group of friends, the whole class was coming to India, and they decided that, education. This is 2006, it was really, really bad in this village called Rajagela near Mathura, okay?
Hmm.
And education, there was clearly no good school. So
Hmm.
these guys said, okay, fine, you donate the land, we donate money, we get a building done.
Hmm.
But they all did that and then they left. They all went back to Harvard to study.
Hmm.
They wanted somebody to volunteer and to take care of the school. You need to hire people, you need
Got
to
it.
get the teachers trained. That was very exciting for me.
Yeah.
I don't know why, because like you said, nobody in our family was an entrepreneur.
Hmm.
But I loved that idea. And I volunteered. I said, I'm going to run that school on the ground.
Yeah.
While I had a job, I remember I passed out from my master's from Chennai. And I took up American Express in Gurgaon. Maybe I was never cut out to be that. Amex, no, they cannot be a better company than Amex. The kind of, the way they pamper you as an employee and
Yeah.
you get to travel to the best of the places.
Yeah.
But I don't think I was meant for that. While I
Why?
was doing
Why
it,
do you think so?
I didn't have fun.
Were you not meant for the 9 to 5 job, or were you not meant for
I think
the
while-
idea of work that you were having?
While I feel at that point of time, I used to love comfort and good travel and the
Hmm.
best restaurants.
Hmm.
Amex gave you all of that.
Yeah, but
And
that's
good money.
That's the job, right? That's the
And-
corporate sector, and that's the perks of the job.
Yeah, amazing,
Yeah.
and no pressure. There is no stress.
Wow.
Yeah, it's an MNC, it's a really big company.
Yeah.
There was no stress of job.
Yeah.
However, when I look back now, it never excited me to be there. I was
Hmm.
always looking for an opportunity to step out, to be out of that system. When this
Wow.
came up, the good thing was I needed money, of course. I was paying rent in Gurgaon. Gurgaon rents were very high. I
Yeah.
said, "Okay, I need a job, but that job gets over in like 9 hours.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this rest of the few hours." So I
Yeah.
said, I'm going to take it up.
But the school was in
Mathura.
Mathura.
I used to travel on weekends.
Okay.
Because Friday we were free by evening.
Yeah.
I'll go, I'll come back Sunday. I used to love doing that.
Nice.
No money, nothing.
Yeah.
But that excitement of building something.
yeah.
And I'm able to put it into words now.
Yeah.
I was 22, 23 that time. And
Yeah.
I could just understand the emotion that I was feeling.
Yeah.
But I wasn't able to put it into words. But I'm able to tell you now that building something from scratch, getting a school, getting it made in front of you,
Yeah.
then hiring the staff,
It's a
training
different
the staff.
high.
It's a very different
It's a
high.
different high, and it's a gratification and happiness.
कुछ नहीं पता था ये सब.
Yeah.
Actually, these are words that you understand now when you walk the path 20
When
years
you
later.
look back.
Yeah, when you
Looking
look
back
back
is easy.
that
Yes.
what was happening that time.
Yeah. But something your soul calling was more deeper than having a job at Amex, right? Because that Amex is giving you perks, restaurants, all the fun life that a 22-year-old girl would love.
Yeah.
And of course with a job. But something deep down was a different calling that was already starting undercurrent.
I have a feeling everybody has that.
Everybody
you
has
you
that.
actually touched the right word. seeing something getting created and
Yeah.
seeing the impact.
Yeah.
What happens in an MNC? Typically, the one I was working with, you're working for a US market.
Yeah.
We didn't even have Amex cards that time in India.
Yeah.
Imagine you are doing analytics, making models, doing things in designing, marketing
Yeah.
for your customer, which is in the US.
Yes.
You don't get to see the impact.
Yes.
I think the fun is when you do something and you see the impact of it.
Exactly.
Maybe that was the key there.
Yes.
I wanted to see the change that I was bringing, good or bad, whatever.
Yes.
So
I mean,
that
on
was
the
exciting.
other side, you're just a person working.
Yeah.
You're just a working
Yeah.
person. The other side, when you're building something, you're a builder, and that's where the fun part comes, right?
I think it.
Yeah, and I think which we all humans we want to create.
All of us.
Women, especially, we are creators. We are nurturers. We are creators. So it comes naturally to us, and we have fun with it as well.
Yeah. And I think it's a very, very. You release dopamine, if I can put it now.
Yes.
Yeah. So that is why India School Fund happened. It went on for a couple of years, maybe 6-7 years, till we realized we are just not able to retain those teachers. Because staying in a village which doesn't have electricity, it's not everyone's cup of tea. I mean, I know there was a day, Anjali, I went to office. The same day I got promoted. My first conversation with my boss was, congratulations, you're promoted.
Yeah.
And just after that conversation, I said, but I want to go.
Yes.
He said, where? Who the hell wants to leave Amex ever? I said, I want to go. This is not the place for me. I want to go and do something.
Yeah.
And I resigned and I said, I want to go and stay in the village and run the school.
Yeah.
So, anyways, we kind of agreed that can you manage it over weekends and all that happened. But anyways, I feel that I was somebody who was meant to create and see the impact. So, finally, this was the time.
How did the financial part come to it? Because at that point in time, I'm assuming you were 25, 26, but you don't have enough financial cushion to leave a good job and then get to the village. It happens after 40, maybe. Yes.
I think you just have to be cynical. Yeah, that's what I feel. You're not practical. You're clearly not practical. But that's what I said. She finally convinced me to be in the job and manage this over week. And I said, okay. And then eventually I got married when I was almost turning 25. And the moment I got married, and by the way, I got married to somebody who was broke. He didn't have money because he also had startup dreams. So when you're in a startup, he was working in a startup. He didn't have money. I didn't have money. And it was an amazing story. Both of us broke, but we had a lot of, you had to run a life, right? You have to pay rent. So aspirations on one side and, practicality on the other. So some savings we had in the account, whatever I had earned or he had earned. I said, I'm going to resign. And nobody stopped. I mean, the kind of conversation we had always was, you do what you want to do, I'll do what I want to do. Okay. I said, I'm going to resign and I'm going to start a food chain.
Yeah.
Okay. What kind of food chain? And this is the next project which I did. That I want to do calorie counted food because when I was growing up, I was an extremely obese child. And I had figured in that journey by researching on myself, how do I get fit? What do I eat? What has how many? I just knew it on my fingertips. What has how much calories and what kind of recipes can I make?
Yeah.
So I said, I'm going to put up stalls.
Not many food and recipes and restaurants have the exact calorie information in India, at least.
At least not in 2007.
I mean,
8,
even now, 9. it's not that rampant that you would see the entire biography of the food in there. I mean, in the West, you can see it very easily if you go to any cafe as well. But in India, it's not as usually, it's not visible as much.
But 2008, nobody even knew the word calorie.
Yeah.
And I was honestly, just trying to do...
Vandita, I've seen the both worlds enough, but I feel not knowing has a value to it.
Why not?
It's actually fun, having the calorie count in front you lose the fun. Just have that damn food, right? Just don't enjoy that. I think somewhere the mechanics added to it makes it a tad mechanical and you don't enjoy the food. I'm that, I kind of like to think that unless, you're on a diet and everything, you're watching what you're eating, you're watching what your, cheat meals are. But given all of that, you still want to enjoy the food in front of you.
So I can tell you people were still enjoying because nobody came to buy. Nobody came to buy the kind of food I was giving them, which was healthy, calorie counted. Ultimately, they would come and tell the person who was selling at the counter, can you get bread pakora? And there was a time when I had to take a decision that if I have to run this business, and the business was running fairly well, by the way. We were
Yes.
put up in 6-7 corporates.
Yeah.
We were making money
Yeah.
from day one. In food business, you make money
You
from
make
day one.
money in food
Perishable
business,
business, yeah. Ultimately, there was a day when I had to take a decision that can you sell bread pakoda? Because that's what we want, and we'll pay you 30, 40 rupees, not more than that. We don't care about calories. Eventually, that is how.
How do you make a bread pakoda healthy?
Exactly. So I said, dude, I'm not doing it because that's a business thing that I would maybe stress upon later, that don't get too attached to your product. It's a business at the end of the day.
No, but you have to be attached, or I think the right word is committed. You have to be committed
yes,
to
you
your
have to
idea.
be.
If you're
Yeah.
adding your healthness, if you're adding your not healthness, if you're adding your component of the food being healthy, having a calorie deficit or having a calorie, and suddenly you're now making a bread pakoda, the
Yeah,
whole
imagine.
credibility gets down.
Yeah.
So you have to keep attachment. You
So-
have to keep that credibility. Otherwise, what's the point?
I stopped that business. I said, I'm not doing this. I don't want to sell bread pakoda.
Yeah.
But maybe if I go back now, I would say, okay, fine, sell bread pakodas they're selling, because that's a business.
Yeah.
You open up, maybe the time,
Maybe
maybe the
a
place
wheat
is not
bread,
ready for calorie
Maybe a
counters.
multi-grain bread. Maybe a wheat
Whatever.
bread. Maybe another,
But that time
sweet
I said, no, I'm not
potatoes.
doing it.
Yeah.
We shut it down. So anyway, so that was the time when I took up a job in the British High Commission, because I'd worked with these children in schools and I understood education and skills enough. And just before that, there was this industry linkage company that I'd set up. So that gave me enough of an idea of how the market was. But that particular 1 year of journey taught me a very important lesson of sales
Hmm.
and zero ego.
Zero what?
Ego.
Yeah.
You have to have zero ego
Yeah.
and no pride
Yeah.
to be a good salesperson.
Yeah.
That's what I learned in that journey. When I used to go to all the lalas in Greater Noida,
Yeah.
wait for them for hours,
Yeah.
for them to not even look at me and
Mm.
maybe give me hardly a minute or so and just say, hey, aise, hey, idhar aao, madam ka brochure le lo. And then they would walk off with their briefcase in hand. So imagine I would travel all the way from Gurgaon, 2 hours. And at that time, this is 2009, you didn't have all these cabs and Ubers and anything.
Yeah,
You would
back in the day, I
really
don't
have
think
to
so.
rent a car and go or drive yourself.
It's an effort.
It's a huge effort. So I
Mm.
remember I used to go at 7 in the morning and be there in front of every college that somebody will meet me.
But what were you selling back then?
We were telling all these people that your children are MBA graduates and they're absolute generalists. They have no idea what the industry people need.
Hmm.
So we will get them industry ready in the next 6 months by
Hmm.
getting the industry experts to you.
Okay.
So we will get a F&B guy from Coke
Okay.
to actually train the children as
Hmm.
to what does the job look like.
So why would the Coke guy will give so much time to train the
you have to
kid?
pay that person.
So you have to
So I
collaborate
would-
with them, and then you
yeah.
have to take the money
So
from
I
them.
would charge the college
Hmm.
and pay some money to that guy.
Hmm.
And it was a win-win because the student will get placed
Hmm.
or will have better idea, will have more skills. The college should be ideally happy that more of my children are getting placed. And the Coke guy is very happy because he's being paid for his time.
Yeah.
But that journey was so tough but what it taught me was a lot of patience.
Hmm.
That sales is not easy. I think
Yeah.
it's the
So
toughest
doing
thing.
groundwork is not
Yeah.
easy. Doing the groundwork is not fun. I mean, sales and also approaching people and selling your idea. Selling your idea and expecting them to buy and
Expecting
invest
them to
money is another hell of a deal.
Yeah, to listen to no repeatedly
Yeah.
and to be at it.
And when you say lalas in Noida, what do you mean?
The college owners. So these are not academicians. They're there running a business.
Uh-huh. Like, for example?
You can have an institution which
Yeah.
is being run by an academician
Yeah.
who could be a retired IIT professor
Hmm.
who has experience in education and academics. Or you can say that my family has a lot of money.
Yeah.
So my son will go and be the director of the college and he will run the college.
Oh, so you mean the background owner is somebody else, but then the person who's running the college is the more educated and more experienced.
Which was not the case in this case.
Okay.
They were just people who were there to charge these students lakhs of money
Yeah.
and not really worry about their placements or their career or their true
just
learning.
give them education and leave.
Maybe you weren't here in India that time, I assume, which is 2009.
Yeah, it was not.
The MBA colleges were mushrooming
Yeah.
massively.
Yeah.
Every kilometer you had one or two in Noida, Greater Noida belt.
Okay.
So when I would go in the morning, I would literally go in the morning and just knock on everyone's door.
Yeah.
Like 20 colleges a day and just hear rejections that, who will pay, madam? How much cut do we get?
Yeah.
You learn all these things. That's
Yeah.
a beautiful journey.
Yeah.
I never want a 20-year-old to not do that. I would
Yeah.
rather say that is what teaches you MBA, nothing else.
Yeah.
Just go and learn how to sell.
Yeah.
How do you put your product across?
Yeah.
That in today's time, we call it a hook. What do I have to say that will get the person hooked?
Yeah.
And you learn it on the ground.
Yeah. So from the education to selling the food, the bread pakora idea, and then all the way to the college education. Basically, you took off, but you understood that it has to be an entrepreneurship. It doesn't have to be a job again. You didn't go back to a job.
I can say that now, Anjali.
Corporate
That time
job.
I had no idea what the hell I was doing. But I never thought of a job. I thought of a job when this particular business I realized is not taking off, this whole education thing. And we just reset it up into a assessment platform, which is when my husband came in, and he and my co-founder, which later became his co-founder, they said we have to do something related to tech in education space. So they
Yeah.
entered into assessments.
EdTech.
They
Okay.
They built a company called Metal, which they later sold to Mercer.
Hmm.
The only good thing about me doing that was we were able to convince one client
Hmm.
who gave us a big check.
Yes.
And that became the seed money for the next company.
Nice. And who was that client?
Sharda University.
Sharda University. Okay.
Again, I have a lot of respect for them. That this show is not about them, but I feel that they were out of the league. So they're still doing very well. And a lot of the others have shut shop
Mm-hmm.
because they never really thought about the college
Yeah.
students. But anyways, now when I look back, I feel going to a job it wasn't meant for me, but I did. I mean, when my husband took up doing Metal, and somebody had to pay the rent,
Hmm.
so I said, I'll go take up a job, and I remember making an Excel at home that how much money do we need on a monthly basis
Yeah.
to run the house.
Yeah.
We won't eat out, assuming we won't fall sick, we
Yeah.
won't travel.
Yeah.
So we came up with some figure, and Gurgaon was very expensive that
Yeah.
time. We
Even
came up
it's
with a
now
figure,
expensive too.
even
it's
more.
even more expensive.
and we thought, what is it that we need to earn? So let's start hunting for a job in the space of education and skills,
Hmm.
because that's what I'd been doing that time. That can give me some X amount of money.
Hmm.
And I got it, and that
Hmm.
is how the life went on for the next
Hmm.
8 years
Hmm.
till we sold Metal.
Okay. So then you didn't work for that company.
I
Your
didn't work for
husband
that
took
company.
over.
He and his co-founder did, and I was earning. So there was one person getting money. And in that journey,
Okay.
now I can say that there's a term called delayed gratification, which I learned very recently in my life.
Yeah.
That's very important.
Hmm.
I don't know how I had it,
Hmm.
but to just be patient in believing that one day you'll crack it.
Yeah.
And there's a very nice saying that it just has to be right once.
Yeah.
So you have to keep trying.
So what is your take of being a woman and also being an entrepreneur? I mean, there's a whole 9 yards about it, having our funding freezing, or maybe just for women it's less than 1%, companies being funded. What do you think the word out there is? What do you think why women founders are getting so less funding?
I will say things have improved so much.
Hmm.
I'm telling you, in 2009 was when I was on the road
Hmm.
going for funding. Forget funding, going for business.
Hmm.
I was never taken seriously.
Yeah.
Firstly, I was a 25-year-old
Hmm.
or whatever, 26-year-old. Secondly, I was a female. None of these people, and everybody on the decision-making seat was a male.
Hmm.
Or in all these
So they were not
colleges.
taking you seriously.
Never.
Okay.
They never took me seriously. And it was very, very tough.
Hmm.
Absolutely crazy tough.
Yeah.
But the beauty, and I remember when I was doing, when we were working on this whole idea around education, we approached one funder, a Japanese person,
Hmm.
and he didn't like the fact. So initially it was me, my husband, and the co-founder. Three of us thought that we can just pull it off. Before we figured that we needed money. So I had to do a job. But there was a time when we were thinking, can three of us pull it off?
Hmm.
And I remember this person saying that, we can't have husband and wife as co-founders in a
Yeah.
company. But imagine how the time has changed. Now people prefer
people
that.
are actually prefer because then
Now.
there is more flexibility in terms of decision
Yeah, it's
making.
amazing. So maybe 10 years
Divide
later.
and conquer, right? You can
Yeah.
put the marketing and then I can take care of the finances.
But
Okay, cool.
But what to your question, it is still very, very tough for a single female founder
Yeah.
or female co-founders to raise
Co-founders.
funding.
Okay. So when did you start Ayurved?
We started working on it in 2020. 2021, we started selling the products.
So how is it going?
The company's going very well. But it's very tough.
Yeah.
I think it is.
So what is the ARR right now? It's 4 years, right? 3 years.
It's been 3 years since we are selling. It's almost north of 15 CR.
Okay.
But it's a very, very tough journey. We are bootstrapped.
So
that was
tell
a
me
decision
what
we
is the
took.
difficult? Tell me 2 things that are the most difficult to get to 15 CR in 3 years. And then
If you
what's the fun part?
decide, if you decide to be bootstrapped, then you have to take very, very cautious risk.
Yeah.
I think that somewhere limits you.
Yeah.
But in a way, it also puts a lot of pressure on you to take the right decisions.
Yeah.
So that's tough.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong many times
Mhm.
because you don't have the scope to go wrong.
Yeah.
And so at times I do wish maybe we also had the leeway of taking a lot of risk, burning money here and there.
So
but
why didn't you go for funding?
Proof of concept, when initially we thought that after selling the previous company, we had funds. So it wasn't about that we did not have money.
Yeah.
We thought we'll try it our way. There was a time last 6 months when I was approached by many, many VCs.
Yeah.
And I had conversations with them with a
Yeah.
very open mind that maybe let me try, maybe I do want. Because
Yeah.
it's not about the money now. It was now that I realized that they can bring in a lot of strategic inputs.
Yeah.
More than the money, you need that. At least I needed that. That's also equally important. But what I realized in those 20 odd conversations is, like you said, you have to be attached to the purpose and to the product. That somewhere goes away. Because you're fighting a race. You are in a rat race. And rightfully so. Somebody has given you money and they want return.
Yeah.
They will make you do anything and everything, which is again right. Because they need returns. They're also answerable to somebody else from where they have raised.
Yeah.
So you lose the identity. Your product loses its purpose. And if you're okay with it, it's fine. Maybe I wasn't okay with it.
So where is Ayurved going in the next, like just say 3 to 5 years?
So, somewhere we have found ourselves placed in this world of brain nourishment, brain stimulation, where particularly the neurodiverse population, where we are loved the most.
Okay.
And I feel that just before this, I was actually with moms who were neurodiverse parents. And we were doing an event with Gurgaon moms.
With whom?
Shibani.
Oh, nice. Gurgaon Moms is a very wide network. I mean,
very wide.
Neela
Very well
Kaushik,
respected.
I'm
Yes,
in touch with
yes,
Miss
yes.
Neela ma'am and in Boston, and I'm actually planning to have her on the show as well.
Yeah,
It's just that she's off and on in the West and the India like me, and then it's just hard to match the schedules.
So very kind of them to do this and not, they just did it as a service, I would say.
Yeah.
But my emotions. So when I'm sitting with you now and discussing business, you should have seen me an hour ago when I was sitting with them, because that's a very different set of emotions. You're dealing with humans.
Yeah.
Neurodiversity is not a bread and butter or a jam.
Yeah.
It's a condition.
It's a condition.
And if that's my TG, if that's my customer, then I'm dealing with a real human, which is going through a lot.
Yeah.
So I just figured that it is just serendipitous for me to be in this world of neurodiversity. I don't have experience. I don't have a family member with whom I would have learned. These people have taught me.
Neurodiversity is where your Ayurveda medicines are focused on. The solutions are focused on.
Predominantly.
Got it.
I would say that they have chosen us. We did not choose them.
Okay.
And when they chose us, we just felt that if we are able to help you and make your lives better, why not?
Yeah.
So you asked me this question, where next? I would say that anything and everything that I need to do for this community. I know it's a smaller community,
Yeah.
but neurodiversity is the future.
Yeah.
You said it, no, just before we started, that almost all of us have ADHD.
Yeah.
It is true.
It is true. Yeah.
With the kind of lifestyles we are
With the
leading,
digital
everything
diaspora
digital,
we
yeah.
have right now, I mean, it's hard to. I mean, I have 5 things to see. I can actually go and see another app in Instagram,
Yeah.
then Facebook,
Yeah.
then my mom's,
Yeah.
and then my email,
Yeah.
chat, order
Yeah.
the food, talk to other people, on
Yeah.
WhatsApp or on the chat. So there's just so much little time we have, just to focus on one particular space,
Yeah.
which is kind of sad. I mean, I've recently heard that Australian government is actually trying to ban all the social media under 16. I think excellent move. Excellent move. I mean, where are we going? I also read about this tech billionaire in the Bay Area where I live. What he shared was eye opening. He said his kids, they were not doing well in school. 60 to 70%. I mean, usually 60-70% in the West is not good. I mean, especially if you're Chinese, if you're Asian, if you're Indian, you would want your kids to do really well. 60%, I won't be happy. So what he did was amazing. What he did was he removed the iPads.
Okay.
He removed the online access, all apps from his kids, and he gave him 3 months. The change he saw was completely out of the blue. Initially they were like they were throwing tantrums, they were throwing fits, they cared about it. It's okay, cold turkey. We don't really care. Go cold turkey about it. But then the significant improvement in the school grades. Also, they were able to do more activities that are physical in nature. Like they were able to go outside, play with their friends, as opposed to being stuck and sitting all day, which kind of, jams your brain neurons, So I think that was a eye-opening example for me, because this guy actually worked in one of the companies I worked for, and he was giving a right example in terms of what the kids are doing these days, video games, apps, and everything, and he removed everything, and he changed the graph of the kids overall. And likewise in the Australian government as well, in terms of banning the social media for under 16, which is just a directive they have ordered. Not sure if it'll approve or not. But how things have changed in the last 10 years, for good or bad. But I think for the kids and overall the neuron system that we're talking about, it has taken a downer on it. It has not improved. And
Massively.
with AI coming on top of everything, I mean, God help us, So anyways, coming back, digressing to your entrepreneurship journey, I mean, it's very well celebrated. I mean, as I look at it, it's more in terms of learning than anything else. You learned a lot. I mean, one after the other. It was more of a learning this, getting to this, and then, bread pakora thing, and then getting into another stuff, and then learning that it's not for you. But you landed into a place where, you're still struggling in terms of it's very tough, but then you are still doing well in terms of 15 CR after 3 years.
I think it will always
IRR.
be tough, or it will get tougher.
Yeah, it will always be tough. So taking a break on the entrepreneurship journey, I think it's great for us to learn from Vandita's journey, because it is never going to be the fact that you start something and within a year you kind of hit billions and millions of dollars. It will never happen. So what I learned from her journey is the grit. You kept at it. You did not throw the tantrum, or you didn't throw your cap in the in the ring that, okay, done for me. I'm not here as an entrepreneur. I'll go back to my MX job. That's a cushion, a nice cushy job. I'm getting what I need. My bills are being paid. I've got a husband. I've got things looking nice. No, you didn't do this. What you did instead is find another company. What you did instead is, okay, I'll do the job, you run it. So all of this takes a different muscle as opposed to a regular muscle, which is what we are talking about here in terms of creating that impact, creating that voice. And I think it's very women as well. It's the female, and it's a very women power that we all have. We are very enterprising, taking risk, and risk appetite is more in women than men, which you demonstrated in life, in real, going to those lalas in Noida. And it's not easy.
No.
Being single and just going in your 25-year-old, I couldn't totally do that. I mean, I can, but people can call it crazy as well. Why is she doing that? Go for a kind of cushion job and just be happy with it. So thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I think that hits me hard in terms of who you are and, what are you made of. let's change gears and let's talk about, you talked about the validation point. I
Yeah.
really, that also struck really well the chord with me, because I'm also one of those I also belong one of those women village or women group where I do not seek a lot of validation. I do what I really want to do. I
Mm.
do what I think is right
Mm.
for me at that particular time. I might fail, but then I learn. You know, I'll probably, as Michelle Obama says, and I'm a huge fan of hers, the first lady, for ex first lady, she says that, what is success? Failing 100 times is success.
Mm.
Your success is not having a party and looking good and all that
Yeah.
stuff. You fail, you repeatedly fail, and then you succeed. So that's a process of being successful, which is what you just also kind of articulated. So for me, if I'm failing in what my choices are, I will learn, and then I will probably make a better decision. So I will probably not seek for validation for any of my decisions. But you also raised a very good point in terms of how the women are being perceived when they're becoming entrepreneurs, when they are actually thinking to do something on their own, when they
Yeah.
do actually think, okay, this is the pushing
Yeah.
the envelope in this direction. What is your take in terms of seeking validation? If you're looking for an investment or looking for to buy a restaurant, but then in the back of a mind, maybe I can ask my husband
Yeah.
for a better decision making.
Yeah.
Maybe I can ask my father for getting a better data point, but not why is that? You can always take a better decision single-handedly with your own brain, with your own research, and then maybe a second opinion, or they can actually is an FYI, not an
Yeah.
FYA.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's
Yeah.
your take on that concept?
I think this is again something that I realized now, and I am able to put it into words now. That growing up, there was a side of me which has seen very strong women in my family. So,
Yeah.
like I
The
said, my
first
dadi,
professor, right?
yeah, my dadi was a professor and a single parent. Her mom, again, somebody who was visionary, who knew that English is going to rule the world eventually, to take my dad for classes. And I remember, so I was told that my dadi was sent to the Buffalo University in the
Mhm.
US,
The
leaving
swinging
her children
buffalo. Yeah.
leaving her children behind for 6 years to do a PhD.
Mm-hmm.
So I belong to that family of really, really strong women who
Mhm.
were leaders, who were decision makers.
Yes.
But the life that I saw was a very balanced life.
Yes.
Where I saw a mom and a dad and a brother and me and IIT. IIT gives you a lot of safety.
Yes.
You're in a safe, secure world.
Yeah. But it also gives you a lot of exposure early on.
Exposure to achievement in academics. But nothing beyond IIT.
I would argue that, because not just the academics, all the IITs are doing all these fancy projects. They're also going in and becoming entrepreneurs. So it's all the ideas that they're actually
That's now,
seeking.
Anjali.
Acha, back in the day, they were
Mhm.
not. Just a 9 to 5 job.
You will find those OG entrepreneurs who maybe in 2000, 2001, when they passed out and they opened up companies,
Yeah.
and nobody even spoke about them because they did it silently. It is now that startup has become a term.
Yeah.
But that time when we were growing up,
They're all there in US becoming a CEO of Silicon Valley, or now it's a running joke there. I mean, are you an Indian? You have to be a CEO.
But back then it wasn't the case. I
Yeah.
would say anybody being born in an IIT family will have to give JEE and take up. But whatever. So at the back of my mind, unknowingly, I've seen these strong women
Yes.
who have led the families by themselves
Yeah.
entirely.
Yeah.
And then
that's in the
I
DNA.
had a very I had a very balanced upbringing. My dad, my mom, like a regular happy household.
Yeah.
And probably I'm practicing what I've seen my mom do, which is like, you consult people here and there and then you take your decisions. But in that consulting,
Yeah.
like you said, is it a FII or an FIA?
Yeah.
There's a difference, but you don't realize that.
Yeah.
And that becomes a part of your habit. You're habitual to that.
Yeah. It's
And I think,
conditioning. It's conditioning.
It is conditioning.
Societal conditioning.
And it is societal, yes. And now at this age, I think it's very important for women to be independent financially. That is one thing I would want to tell every female out there.
Absolutely.
Even if you've turned 50 and you never had a career,
That's
you can
the
still
number
go and make
one.
one.
Yeah.
The moment you do that, you start speaking your mind.
Exactly.
And that
But
is when you let
that's
go.
a double-edged sword in the country like India or wherever you go, because I think, you know what the word is? They will say, "Oh, now she earns her own money. That's why
Yeah.
she's speaking like, like this, and she doesn't care about what whoever is taking about, talking about
That's
her."
happened in my own company.
And cut to two, oh, she doesn't earn anything. She's not financially
Yeah.
independent. Go do whatever, So
Yeah.
there is no balanced mindset yet in our country, in our society, that okay, even if she's earning, she's got a head on her shoulders. She can think about it. She can go execute. Even if she's not earning, she's a graduate. She'll be able to go get a job and she'll be able to do the equally good job with her kids, even if she's not earning. So there is no balanced approach in terms of how we think about women, which I feel very sad about, because still we have this patriarchal societal.
We do unknowingly.
Yeah.
And you have to cautiously take an effort to not think like that.
Yeah. But
Um,
you can do it. But what about the other person?
Hmm.
Right?
Hmm.
They are not thinking that from that
Hmm.
perspective.
I think that is something I consciously do with my boys. So I have 2 boys. And I have to make sure that they understand that women don't belong in the kitchen.
Yes.
So that is my single point agenda.
Absolutely.
Because I've always asked them that where does Dadi sit when you go to meet her?
Yeah.
What is she doing? What is Dada doing? That's my constant question to them on the dining table. And I want to break that. Dadi
Yes.
does not belong in the kitchen. She's
Exactly.
a very, very smart lady.
Yes.
And she has run her businesses also.
Yes.
So these are stories I tell them.
Yes.
And I want them, and it took time, and these are statements or practices. Like you say, no, you have to practice what you preach. I do it at home.
Yeah.
I'm not the one who will go and cook, or I'm not the one who will clean up the table.
Yeah.
I will make sure that if I don't want to do it, somebody else has to do it.
Yeah.
And a male has to do it.
Hmm.
So I personally, I have to push people. And these are I'm surrounded by boys in the house. And they should understand that your gender doesn't make you extra privileged.
Absolutely.
And these are the conversations I have with them. And I tell them that, you don't have to find a soulmate who is an educated helper. You're looking for a person in your life.
In your life, you're sharing a life with them.
Yeah.
You're growing together. You're growing
Yeah.
old together. You're educating yourselves. You're creating stuff. You're creating
Yeah.
kids and family. Such a beautiful point, because I think when you are, it's I've heard so many sad stories, including mine. I mean, sometimes I feel like when you're marrying early, you don't really know.
No. You don't know.
And when you discover what really marriage is, it might
Yeah.
be too late if you're not lucky in love and whatever. But like you said, I have son as well and I have daughter as well. I ask him to clean, and he's still 6-year-old, but I ask him to help in cooking in the kitchen, because cooking and cleaning are basic life skills. They are not skills attached to the women.
No.
So I also teach him, because you need to raise your sons correctly to be able to raise such nice men, or and boys in the society, so that tomorrow when they get married, they don't really seek a female to fulfill them, to make them happy,
Yeah, it's
do
not
their
about
basic
them.
chores,
Yeah.
and all that 9 yards, but then also just make just life partners,
Yeah.
share the life together, and sort this side businesses together. So it is such a great mind shift. But the sad part is, even now, not many men think like that.
No. You have to make them think like
Yeah.
that.
I mean, we are raising the next generation, but I'm talking about our generation.
No, they
I'm
don't.
talking about that even the next generation, which is not our kids, which is our cousins. Even there's a whole struggle. The whole idea of marriage is very different when push comes to shove, when you're actually sitting on the table and meeting a girl. The expectations are different. They are not what we are talking. We are talking in a podcast, it's all hunky-dory nice. No, but in reality also, when you're teaching your son, when I'm teaching my son, it's the real life lesson.
Yeah.
Tomorrow when he goes meets a girl, he'll be having enough money, or my daughter will have enough money to spend weekends in the nice area. He doesn't want a guy from Florida to actually show her that beautiful picture to be with her or to be with him, because she already can do it on her own. So raising your kids right is very important in when they comes to choosing their life partner. I mean, it's an experience from my own personal reasons as well, but the fact that you brought that point
Yeah.
triggered triggered that into
There's
me
a
as well.
study, very nice, wherein both men and women married were interviewed.
Yeah.
100% of women said
Yeah.
that I'm not happy in the marriage. And
Yeah.
100% of males said I'm happy in the marriage. That's because they got a glorified helper.
Yes.
And whereas, so there's a colleague of mine who recently got married, and I feel bad for her because the moment she came and she gave me a box of mithai, I thought she generally got it for me. I started eating.
Yeah.
And she was finding that comfortable space to tell me that, I'm engaged or whatever. The moment she told me, my first response, are you sure? And then she told a couple of other colleagues of mine who are all
Yeah.
my age. And
Yeah.
instead of saying congratulations, they said, oh shit. So that has been the shift. And that's what I understand from this new generation, which is now getting married, that it's either under pressure
Yeah.
or they would never want it.
Yeah.
Because they know the realities that,
Yeah.
I'm taking care of my parents. I have to take care of one more person.
Yeah. Marriage is becoming optional, but if it does happen for good reasons, it's the best thing to have happened. I believe in the institution of marriage. I believe in the companionship. I believe in having somebody by your side. But like you mentioned in the beginning, it's a very beautiful way that you put it together, to have a partner, to share the life, not the chores.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that, I mean, great discussions. I love that. I think we resonate on so many points. Getting our heads back into the entrepreneurship and the tech, basically. So there are so many events happening lately, Vandita, especially in the women's side. I mean, the Aspire for Her groups, I really love that. With Madhura, I'm working with her. And I'm speaking with her to get her on the show and share her experience in building such a big empire with that, where they're growing and they're talking, meeting, and doing so much stuff. What is your experience in terms of two things? One is the women related events. Are they useful in India, or like what do they do, what are they focused on? And then two is what exactly is the agenda, like next 5 years, where is this going?
Useful. So firstly, I don't get to attend too many events. I don't think any entrepreneur would get to attend, but what they are fortunate for is to be a part of those groups of people.
Yeah.
That I will give. That I am a part of couple of Dell groups, and there is one that Latika Pai from Microsoft started called Sonder Connect. A bunch of ladies there.
Are they helpful?
It's like a cohort of people
Yeah.
who are sailing in your boat or similar boat. Why not? You
Yeah.
know? And I'm not saying it's just particularly for females. Had it been a male group also,
Yeah.
it's just that you have people who are sailing in your boat and you can just reach out to them.
Yeah, it's more like a sharing capacity.
So I would say I'm a part of a couple of those WhatsApp groups. But what I saw today, Anjali, was a set of women power in that room when I went just before this event. And I believe in that. And I'm not saying that males would not have made a difference. I'm sure they can. But to your particular question about females, I think, yeah, it is clearly helpful. I don't attend too many events, but I see a shift. There are too many such happening now.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a lot happening.
Yes.
There's a lot of women-centric effort that even the government is putting in.
Yes.
State level also.
Yes. Lately, like in past 6-7 months, I've seen a lot.
And I've seen a special category of awards that have come up,
Yeah.
which is just women-specific
Women
awards.
especially, yeah. What is the event that you attended in Gurgaon, Moms? How did that happen?
So there was a documentary that we had made on neurodiversity.
Yeah.
And the Shibani, who is the director for the book club, she got to know about it through a friend.
Yeah.
That is how we got connected. And she said,
Okay.
I want to show it as a cause to
Got
my
it.
community. And so
Okay.
she put up the show. It was completely led by them. So
Oh, so you
the whole community showed up to show support for
Yeah.
the neurodiverse community. And
Yeah.
that's amazing. As a company, it is very difficult for me to get the people to talk about it.
Yeah.
But when community itself begins to talk about it, that's like organic word of mouth.
Yeah, yeah. And what about the group Gurgaon Moms? I think it's fantastic, right?
I have a lot of respect for it because I think the way it was formed some 12, 14 years ago and the
Okay.
way they conduct it.
Yeah.
Again, the OGs of Facebook groups, I would call them.
Yeah.
One of the first to start. I have never attended any group events. This was my first.
Yeah.
And a lot of respect for them. The way they
Nice.
managed it, handled it,
Yeah.
executed it.
Yeah.
Very well done.
Awesome. Well, it's always good. I mean, I think it's always good to be part of the crowd and learn from them in the right crowd. learn from them, and of course contribute if you can, in terms of your speech, in terms of your experience, in terms of what the products you're creating. I think it's always good to have that. So I always ask these questions from every guest that comes on Fem Stories, just to get a like pictorial information that, okay, this is the set of information that every entrepreneur has been using, and it could be used for anybody out there as well. So what are the resources or the tools that you might have used during the time frame, the phase that when you were creating the companies? Any programs, any tools that you think were very useful for you?
Okay. I think one thing that I learned early on is you had to do it all by yourself. So when you're talking about tools, whether these were SEO tools or marketing tools or using Meta as a platform, initially everybody is very lured by the idea, or I would say very overwhelmed by the idea that you don't know how to do SEO marketing, you don't know how to write blogs, you don't know how to do Meta ads, and so you just get a bunch of agencies to do things for you. But ultimately, after burning a couple of lakhs, you realize that nobody knows how to do it. So you better do it yourself. So that's what we did. So to your point, the initial 4-5 of us, we learned Google SEO to the best possible. Whatever tools. So there were certain tools. Neil Patel has this. He has this SEO thing. We started using that. Then particularly a lot of research paper that I had to read for my product. So I used to read a lot of research papers on NIH. I found that. Then WordPress was a great thing for us to learn to do blogging.
Yeah.
I would say that's all. I mean, and you figure it out. I think you only can. I'll tell you one thing. So I'm in my family, my brother also runs a company. He's elder to me. A very, very successful company now. And after my husband sold his startup, I used to feel that when I start mine, it's just going to be a cakewalk. These guys are like, they know everything, dude. They know, and they'll make this work, and it's just going to be, hunky dory. I set it up, and 2 years later, it becomes a 10 CR company, all that. But what I learned after those 2 years, 3 years is nobody can run the business for you. You can just do it for yourself.
Yeah.
Just because they ran their business, that doesn't guarantee that they'll be able to.
Because it's your journey, right?
It's absolutely
it's your journey. You're taking a decision in the morning at 10 o'clock or 5 o'clock, and you are spending that dollar, and you're spending that money in terms of getting that decision. It's happening from you. So it based on how you manage the ship. Awesome. Any programs that you took or any trainings you took to understand, to educate yourself?
I think I did not need to, because I had these people with me.
Yeah.
And because of that came their network also.
So your support system
I
helped
would call
you,
them coach, whatever you want to call them.
Helped you coach and helped you...
So I reach out to them a lot.
But
the only thing is, like I said, validation. So now they have good intent for me, but I end up validating everything against them.
Yeah.
Even they happen to be males. They could have been females also.
Yeah.
But I will go back for every single thing. Do you think I'm doing right? Just because you've done it. So I think that there has to be a balance in that.
Yeah.
And you learn it only when you do it.
Yeah. So basically you think that they know better.
Yeah. Which is not true. Which is after you fail a couple of times listening to them, is when you realize.
Yeah, but it also tells you that you are less confident about your decisions.
Clearly.
Yeah.
So that's also a journey that you will walk.
Yeah.
And you will come out of it.
Yeah.
And that will actually make you a much more confident person.
Yeah, because then you make a better decision. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I started my company in 2023, which was last year only. And it's actually, I'm just a digital marketing partner. I mean, they call it agency in India, but I'm not calling myself an agency because I'm working with startups and smaller companies and becoming their fractional CMOs or partners to build the strategy, to build the marketing strategy, to be with them. Not an agency sitting like a bunch of boxes and, doing stuff like that. So I can see the change. I mean, it's hard to get clients in India because the micromanagement, the effort of not spending enough money and not taking things seriously and taking less money, taking more work, the whole mindset is very different of having a business here. But anyways, I mean, it depends how you learn from your experiences in different countries. Last question I would ask you before we get into a fun zone, which is called Femfire. I would love to ask you, what is your suggestion to all the aspiring women entrepreneurs who are out there. I mean, sitting, with their friends, having a coffee or sitting on a couch and thinking in their head in the cloud, and we have an idea. We might have, X number of thousands or lakhs to do, but what exactly, how to start, what to do, what is your take on that?
I think now this I've learned that we all have ideas.
Oh,
and we all
billion of people in
feel,
India,
yeah,
lot of ideas.
we all feel very missed out that I had this idea and somebody else started it, and you feel proud of it, but actually it is either day one or one day. That's what I feel. So
Yeah.
make it your day one instead of one day I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Because ideas will keep coming.
Yeah.
And this whole thing about validation is something that, again, I've learned in my journey, that you need to know when to stop. You need to know how much to take.
Yeah.
You can't keep chasing people because they don't know. They don't have answers.
Yeah.
They will tell you best of their intent and experience, but it's you. It has to be you.
Yeah.
And one learning that I got was women are extreme powerhouses.
Yes.
They can multitask.
Very enterprising.
I love to hire females because in my experience, they are phenomenal workers.
Yes.
The way they work, the kind of way they can manage their time.
Yes. And also, I think they are more trustworthy. They are more, you can trust
Way
them.
more committed.
Yeah, more
stable.
committed, more trustworthy. Absolutely. They are better workers.
Yeah.
Not that male are not better workers. Sorry about that. That's not a message we are getting out. But then, as compared, the females are more enterprising and they're more trustworthy.
I mean, I found it
We are like
amazing.
a protagonist. Oh my God.
I in my journey, I found them to be able to manage a lot of things together.
Yeah.
And I think that comes as our nature.
Yeah.
I think we're just generally good at that.
Yeah.
And when you're working in a D2C brand where the life is never a straight road,
Yeah.
you do have to juggle a lot of things.
Yeah.
So I think females came in way more handy.
Yeah.
One thing that I think everybody will struggle with is the right team. And that I think takes time.
Yeah.
You have to be on a constant lookout.
Yeah.
And why I feel that every person, every female or male, whoever is doing a business should have worked sometime in their life is
Yeah.
to have networks. What I've seen in a couple of people in my teams are they're great at their work. They started their career now literally at 40. So they have no network. And I think network pays off. To have a network it is one of the most important assets. for
Yeah.
you.
Okay.
That is incredible.
That's a very important tip. You're having a nice network and also be able to leverage that. Be
Yeah.
able to give back, not
Yeah.
just take.
Yeah.
Be a giver as well, not just a
Yeah.
taker. And having that solid network is very important for all the women
Yeah.
entrepreneurs and,
And
aspiring people.
those
as well.
WhatsApp groups or those communities that others have created have given me that
Yeah.
also.
Sure.
Suddenly you just feel that you can reach out to these 1,000 extra people
Yeah.
and 5 of them will 100% respond.
Yeah.
It's amazing. You
makes a
know that you'll
difference.
get an answer.
It makes a difference.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I would love that. I mean, definitely. I mean, it's networking is everything these days, especially. And if you have networking platforms, so go leverage them. We come to the last section of our podcast. We call it FemFire. I mean, there is no panel discussion, no podcast, no conversation happens or ends without having a rapid fire. But since we are creating Fem Stories here with the fantastic women out here, we call it FemFire. And let's have a FemFire for Vandita today. I'll probably ask you very quick questions, just asking more fun and getting to know you more. So you
Okay.
just give us the answer based on what comes off the top of your mind.
Okay.
And instead of just, deep thinking, no. It's just
No.
quick
Okay.
answers. All right. Are we ready? Okay. Who is Vandita's idol?
My idol.
Yeah, in life.
In business, I can tell you.
Okay.
Maybe.
Sure.
I always look up to that old Delhi uncle, a
Mhm.
person who's sitting in Chowdhury Bazaar
Yeah.
and running a business worth multi-crores.
Yes.
And he has no meta. He has no SEO.
Yes.
I have no idea how he does it. And he's my idol.
Oh my God. I love
Yeah.
that answer. Yeah, absolutely. You need to get those
Yeah.
on the ground skills.
That
which
is
are
dhanda.
very
This
important.
is not dhanda that I see people doing, wherein your EBITDAs are minus 60, minus 70%. They are doing dhandas.
They are doing the real business. No,
Yeah.
fabulous. Absolutely. So, would you take a vacation abroad, or would you go for meditation retreat in India or Rishikesh somewhere?
I love India.
Yeah.
So maybe in India, it could be meditation. I normally like short vacations, which is like a day. But wherever I go, I want to just walk. I like places where I can just walk the city.
Nice.
I love to walk.
Yes. But
So-
how many places in India you can actually walk and have
Pata
fun?
nahi. So in India, if I would go, like
It's
we
too
went
much-
to
too
Coorg
many
maybe last
people.
weekend.
Yeah.
I like a short trip. You just go, you see the place and you're back.
Come back.
Maybe I'm okay with anything.
Where did you go?
Coorg mein. We went to Coorg.
Where is that?
4 hours away from here.
Coorg.
Hmm.
4 hours away on the flight?
4.5. Nahi, road.
Okay. Is it nearby?
We do a lot of drives basically.
I
So
would
we've
love
done
to join
Rajasthan.
you next time.
We've done Rajasthan. We've done Himachal. We've done Tamil Nadu now.
Nice.
We plan to do Kerala. That's also something I like. So that you're in one place for maybe a day or two.
Yeah.
You try to cover max.
Yeah.
And what I like to cover in cities is their local culture.
Yeah.
I'm
And
not a
it's
person
so-
who wants to go to a mall,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I love to go to where the history of that place lies.
Yeah. So basically
Just-
explore the
I can sit
culture.
there. I can just have chai. I'm a chai
Yeah.
person. I can sit
Okay.
and I can just observe people.
Yeah.
I would love to do that.
Yeah.
But be part of that local.
Yeah. The culture.
Yeah.
The rich culture. Okay, great. The book you're reading.
So I finally, I don't know why, but I picked up this book that we bought from our children, which is Gita for Kids.
Gita for kids. Nice.
Gita for children.
Yeah. Is it too
But
short, like verses, or is it like detailed?
I think it has main verses
Hmm.
and it is in very simple
Simplified
language
way.
in English. And I read it with my younger one. He has more interest in Gita than the elder one.
Nice.
But I read it more for myself. And I think that's become my favorite book.
I love that. I would love to buy that for my kids too. I
Ah.
think we all need Gita at some point in life.
So there are lots of books like there's a very good book called Hooked.
Yeah.
There are some books that have really helped you in life, like Numbers Don't Lie. You look
Yeah.
at numbers very differently.
Yeah.
All that is good. But ultimately, why I like Gita was it is something what a person goes through anyways. It is you with your gut,
Journey
with
of
your
life.
subconscious.
Yeah.
That, you know what is right. You get that feeling. At times you are so cluttered in your thoughts, you're not able to hear it.
Yeah.
I'm just getting too philosophical here,
No, but
but
that's true. That's what the Krishna explained. The journey in the mind of Arjuna and what was going on, the
Yeah.
karma and the future, the past, and
Yeah.
everything.
yeah.
And it's all what we are doing here.
Yeah. I mean, so when you run, so there's something very nice that one is stress
Yeah.
and one is 5 times the stress. If
Yeah.
you can normalize that 5 times of stress, then you're meant to do business.
Yeah.
Otherwise, don't.
Yes.
And when you have that stress, when you carry that stress, a lot of decisions are taken under that stressful
Yeah.
situation. And
Mhm.
maybe that is where reading Gita will help because it will help you declutter.
Yeah.
And understand the purpose behind every action you take. And I think that's very, very important that
Sure.
whether you take
love that.
funding or you
Yeah.
don't take funding,
Yeah.
you want to grow small, you want to grow international. A lot of these decisions that you have to take every day,
Yeah.
you'll be able to take them for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Otherwise, one thing that I know that we also do, and at least my children, their classmates I see doing is everybody is in a FOMO. And if you are, then there is no end to it because, you're running a podcast. On my way back to the airport, I may feel like, Anjali is doing such a good job and I'm not. I should also go back. And you have to find your own path.
Yeah.
And I think reading something like this centers you. It's an
Makes
anchor.
your balance.
for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. I think it's the comparison difference in your mind. You should never compare.
And that's also like a validation
Yeah.
that,
Exactly.
So
Again, lack of confidence.
Yeah. every
So
time
basically,
not
if you're-
being happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
Comparison is the killer of your happiness. You should never compare. I also used to do it back in a day, but now I don't.
Good.
So great. 2 more questions. Favorite hangout place in Gurgaon?
Ho. Gurgaon mein to pata nahi, but any place
Bangalore.
I love coffee places.
Yeah.
Bangalore,
I was about to
there's
ask you
one
chai or
place-
coffee, but you already answered in middle of the conversation.
One place I go to every single day is Starbucks in Gurgaon. And
Yeah.
I'm a very loyal person that ways. If I like one place, I don't experiment with places.
Yeah.
I can go there for the rest of 3 years, 4 years,
Yeah.
sit at the same seat. I like seeing warmth.
Yes.
So I know that person knows me. They know the coffee I like.
Yes.
So it becomes like a home. So
like the whole experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, you already answered this question, chai or coffee, but I probably both.
coffee.
Coffee.
Coffee for where I go, because they don't give that kind of chai. I'm very particular about chai that I drink,
Yeah.
and only I should make it.
Yes, me too.
But I am a chai person.
Yes. Okay, you're a chai person.
So I like to get up by 5:36 when nobody is up, and I like
Mm.
to sit with my chai in absolute silence.
Nice.
I love that.
Yeah. So 5:36 in the morning?
Yeah.
Wow. What do you do in the
Or
morning then?
6. Generally, if I get up, I have to go and work out a bit. That's the only time I get.
Okay.
And then the kids get up.
Yeah.
So that's my time with them. But I like that.
Nice. Awesome. So that was our podcast today. Thank you so much, Vandita, for your time today. Finally, we were able to meet and create this Fem story together. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed learning more about you, learning more about your story, and sharing this with our viewers here. This is still a smaller platform, but I think it has a lot of power.
Yeah.
I've already gotten a lot of powerful, meaningful conversations and females out here, which I'm really happy and proud about. And the journey is still going. It's going a little tad
Absolutely.
bit slow, but I'm not just doing this. There's a lot more going behind the scenes, but I'm really proud that to bring a women founder, to bring an entrepreneur and sharing the journey out here, sharing that confidence, sharing the learnings, sharing the challenges and successes here. We take these conversations lightly, but I feel this has power.
Yeah.
I feel this is really, really powerful. And the times that are coming ahead of us in any country, be in India or be in the West or wherever, I think this power can, do wonders. We can curb the issues that are coming before us. There's a war happening out there.
True.
There is already a digital media war we just talked about. This is a war.
Yeah.
Because we think it's a boon, but it's not. Somewhere it's taking us.
Yeah.
It's taking the
Yeah.
happiness
Yeah.
over. It's
Yeah.
taking the comparison over. So this is a war, which I think this is a power as well. This is a very subtle and soft power, which I think through Fem Stories, it's one of my passion projects. I really want to bring it out. I really want to discuss it with the world and see where it goes. Even if there is 5 lives out there being impacted, it would be
True.
successful, and it's my way to give it back to
Yeah.
the society and also
Excellent.
learn myself.
Yeah.
I've made so many friends. I still meet a couple of guests that I had invited, and it's such a good and wonderful
Absolutely.
journey to make friends and having an extended relationship outside the podcast
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
So I really thank you for your
Thank you,
time
thank
today
you,
and
thank you.
sharing your bit with us. I really hope that the journey that Vandita shared with us creates one of the greatest Fem stories, and you enjoy that as well, and you seek inspiration from that. So until next time, thank you so much from Fem Stories, and thanks for watching.